Your story, Daymond, is so fascinating. And I think we could spend hours here. I think you actually have an Audible series about chapters of your life. But tell us that first moment where you truly think that your journey started.
When my journey started?
Yeah.
My journey started when I fell in love with what I called at the time, because we're talking about technology, it was a new emerging technology called hip hop. You know, it was coming out of the Bronx, absolutely. It was coming out of the South Bronx, and it was what I would call today a form of TikTok or Snapchat, because we didn't know what was going on in the streets of Miami. They didn't show that in the 6 o'clock news, and they didn't show what was going on in the streets of the Bronx. And through this music, the kids no longer had to harmonize or play an instrument, but they were communicating through this music about their hopes, their dreams, their love, political issues, police violence. And that's exactly when, and hip hop wasn't something you had to listen to, it's something you could live, walk, talk, and dress. And I realized I love this music around 10 years old, but it wasn't until I was 20 that I realized, wait a minute, I love to dress, I love to listen to it, I can't rap, but I want to get on to all the video.
I want to be a part of it, yeah.
And I want to get on to all the video sets. So what I do, I used to make the clothes and then get to the video sets. And when they kicked everybody else off, I just say, hey, I'm dressing the artist. So that I used to go on there, and then I was able to, you know, hang out with the artists. And that's how it initially started. And then I realized, wait a minute, I can actually make money doing this.
And I love that, and I think that's a very important takeaway of this conversation, is the fact that you took something that you were passionate about and you figured out how to make a business out of it.
That's what I tell kids all the time. Anything that you buy, you can sell, and anything that you do for free, you can get paid for.
So you launched FUBU, For Us, By Us. Became big in the 90s, 2000s, where we didn't have, as you mentioned, Snapchat, TikTok, Shopify, none of that. How would you leverage today's technology if you were to launch FUBU today, in 2025?
Well, today it's nothing new to see a Latino or African American designer make for the communities, right? But when we did it, only Kalk and I had done it before us in Cross Colors, right? So today, what would people want? Well, people want today, they want to learn about, they want education, they want entrepreneurship. So today, if I were to launch FUBU again today, and I know retail is dying, what I would have is one male and one female representative in each college and each high school, and they would I'd probably work it out one of the financial institutions, they would probably get $500 worth of FUBU for $250, and they would be able to sell it. They would be able to bring people underneath them, and they would be able to sell it. And every time they hit certain criteria, they probably get digital curriculums on whether it's AI or agentic or various other things. And then when they time out of that school, they would be able to pass it down.
So it would be about education as well.
It would be whatever they want. The digital curriculums that I would give them probably would be whether it's social media, it's education, it's longevity, it's biohacking, it's anything that they want. And that would be an incentive to get them to sell more goods. It would be the same thing that I would sell to the store anyway. If I would have sold it to Macy's, I would have sold it to $250. They would have sold it for $500 anyway, but I wouldn't have never know who purchased it, right? But now I have people doing user-generated content. They would then sharing with each other because you would be voting for them, and they would then get digital content from a lot of people here or any place else, and it would just create a bigger community that could go globally like this. When I would sell FUBU when I was coming up, I would have to find you at your home or someplace else after you bought a shirt.
Or in that street corner where you were selling the hats.
The internet didn't exist, right? My data and my feedback was when people came out of the Apollo Theater drunk at midnight from watching a show, and I'm trying to sell them clothing. They would tell me what they thought about my clothes and my mother. Right? They wouldn't. That was my feedback back then. Cell phones didn't exist.
Yeah. So I hope you took notes, because that's a brilliant business idea. And what was key about the success of FUBU were also the partnerships that you were able to forge. I mean, you had your business partners living in your house at one point, you know, and the first floor of your mom's house became kind of this incubator for FUBU. And Shark Tank also teaches us about the importance of partnerships. And since we have so many people from over 60 countries globally here, what would be your advice in terms of finding that good business partner, which many people may be in this conference to do?
Well, the two hardest things that are going to ever be in business is going to be to source capital at a reasonable rate, and how do you do it, and then partners. So if you ever saw FUBU, there's a big 05 on all the shirts. Reason why is I always wanted to be 5 partners. But that 5th member, we went through 10 of those 5th members. There's 10 people running around going, I'm the 5th partner of FUBU. And what happens usually with people when they either have partnerships or especially friends, you never do 50-50. You always understand, listen, what is your obligation?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, when people create businesses, they usually created the successful ones for 2 reasons. They either wanted to solve a problem or bring somebody joy. And if you bring somebody joy, you're going to solve a problem. Those who've done it purely for money, they almost never make it, or they find themselves in the wrong place. But when they come out with a great business, they're so excited about this thing that they often don't put the right structure in place with the partners.
Yeah.
You're going to work in here for 6 months, and then this does this, and then this does this, and then this does this. So that's really critical. Usually when I meet great founders, they're on their 5th or 6th business. They started the first one, they didn't have the right funding. The second one, they had the right funding, but they didn't have the right paperwork. The third one, they had the right funding and paperwork, but they didn't have the right trademarks or patents or IPs or URLs or various other things. So first of all, vetting partners is something that you have to do, and you have to make sure that everybody knows their deliverables on that. But why is that easier now than ever before? I just sent out to my staff that within the next 5 to 6 years, we're in the biggest revolution ever that we will see. They say the next billion-dollar company will be ran purely by 3 people.
Wow.
Because the way that AI technology is moving so fast, I've been to 25 trade shows in the last 2 months. I'm going to be in Arizona tomorrow. I was in Las Vegas last night. When I was in Las Vegas yesterday, I went to 4 trade shows. Most of the trade shows are 1/3 the size, and it's all tech and robots and people coming in now. I'll give you an example. We're looking at retail and things of that nature. Does anybody here know what whatnot is? Raise your hand if you know whatnot. All right. Raise your hand really high, please, if you know what whatnot is. Okay. 20 people. All right? So whatnot is a version of the new TikTok shops. TikTok, we do not know if it's going to be around after April 5th. We just don't know, right? But whatnot is people showing merchandise that you can auction, and the auctions are 10 seconds long. All right? Now, they show all the merchandise they get from everywhere. Any kind of stuff, sports car trade and everything else. It's 10 seconds long. You'll see something like a massage gun on there, like the massage gun. It'll go for $25. Somebody say, oh, that's simple, $25. Well, first of all, it was 10 seconds. They probably made about $8 off of that gun. They're selling 4 of them a minute. You times that by an hour, and you times that because they're getting other people to come in on it. They're running those things for 16 hours a day. There's people doing $200, $300 million off of it. You look and you only see that little massage gun with a woman going, hey, get it.
And you only have the 10-second window to do it.
And it's a huge tech window when you think about it. There are people doing $200, $300, $400 million on these TikTok shops. You simply look at it like, oh, I don't know. Anybody ever seen that woman that in Asia, she's pulling up these dresses for 1 second? All right, you've seen that, right? You go, oh, how is she selling that much? Oh, she's just selling them in 1 second. Let me tell you what's happening with her. She's doing $100 million. She probably has 100 people working for her. They're marketing to their whole crowd and going, by the way, this dress is going to go up Thursday between 7 to 8 o'clock. And when it goes up, you can only get 300 of them. And she's doing that with 3,000 products. And then when people buy it, she's captured their name already. She's marketing them everything else. This is where the world is going. When I went to these trade shows, they're 1/3 the size. None of the big brands or big people are in there, but they're allowing these people to come in and sell the way I'm talking about right now. It's right in front of our noses. So when we talk about OPM, OPM has to be other people's mind power, manpower, manufacturing, marketing, mistakes, and of course, mentorship. We are in the biggest revolution of our time, and there's going to be blood in the streets if you're not one of these people in this room. This room is the 1% of the 1% of the 1% who knows what they need to do. The rest of the world, what's going to happen? Well, retail is going to go away. Where are these people going to work? Government's not going to catch up quick enough to make sure these people have a job. They're all going to be working for the people in this room right now.
And if you're not motivated after what you just heard, you need one more cafecito. And at the same time, it sounds very grassroots. And you're a person, Arizona, Vegas, you're here in Miami, the people's shark. So tell us about, in terms of these business partnerships and the new ideas that are coming about, the value of this word that has become controversial, the value of diversity, the value of a diverse room like this.
Well, diversity is always, they say that it's going to be, it creates 13% more revenue in a company just purely because you get innovation. I'm an African American man. I most likely am not the best person to make a hair product for an African American woman, right? It's just not my thing, right? But diversity, the D&E and I are going away for various reasons because a lot of people, it's the hardworking people like the people in this room who you don't look for a handout, you're not looking to litigate, you're just looking to do every honest day's job and over-provide, right? But that's going away because what happens is you have the other percentage of people who take advantage of that. And they make it a political issue where at the end of the day, the organizations and corporations are like, I just want to over-provide for my customer. Now I'm dealing with so many social matters that I cannot over-provide. And unfortunately, some people will be hurt negatively from it. But it's incredibly important because you have to look and think, you have to have people in your organization look and think like the people you serve, right? Because you know intimately what somebody needs. Right? And I think that it's the companies and the organization, I got to tell you, we are going into this communication age. I think women are going to dominate the playing field.
Can I get a high five for that?
We went from the industrial age to the agricultural age. Now we're in the communication age, and women are much more in tune with their communication and how to communicate. But when you think about why D and E and I are important, is I just found out a stat. It was 1970 something that women could finally get a loan without a man.
That's insane.
Signing on the loan,
yeah.
Right? But it wasn't until 1988 until Reagan did another law that it actually went into effect. That means that the first two Rambos, a woman couldn't get a loan without a man signing on it.
It's insane.
Right? So now think about how fast and now that how much progression there's been made in the data and the age we're going to. I think right now women and African American and Latinos have been held back so long in this country. I think now it's game over because technology doesn't have a face to it.
And the technology is going to only amplify that. Another important takeaway is this idea of looking at diversity as innovation, looking at diversity as a way to really connect with a customer base or a peer group that only you can reach because of your background and experience, which is exactly what you did with FUBU, and that was the opportunity that you saw.
Right, so if you try to put it from a legislation standpoint, absolutely, you don't want people taking advantage of people, but right now, if you and I, we decided we wanted to go into Russia by ourselves, with nobody to translate how we're going to go. How's that going to work? So you think you're going to go into a women's market or a mompreneur's market or an African American market or a kid who likes this type of stuff without that? That's why you have to have people that look and think like the people you serve. Because today's consumer, this is no longer making and they will come. Today's consumer wants to know, what did you do for somebody else? Because all they got to do is pull it up.
Looking at what we pull up, what we Google, I want to talk about Shark Tank a little bit because just the worldwide fascination with this show. I think it's seen in something like 50 countries.
Yeah.
In Germany, it's called.
But they're different panels. They're different sharks.
Yes. In Germany, it's called the Lion's Den, I believe, and they're a different set of sharks. So, tell us about something we may not know about the show, something that maybe happens behind the scenes.
Barbara does not take her medicine. Kevin O'Leary, who actually lives down the block, is really actually a nice guy.
He's not a jerk in real life.
Just don't ask him what he thinks about money. The show, it takes us, an average pitch is 1 hour long. We see about 150 people back to back over the course of about a month. Wow. 2 weeks in June, 2 weeks in September. That one pitch is being shot by 16 cameras, so it's 16 hours of footage for you to see 8 minutes. We do not know anything about those people. Zero. People say, well, why are you, Daymond, you were being so mean to that guy. You gave that person 10 seconds to make a critical decision on funding his company. I've been offering that asshole $250,000 for 30 minutes. They just kept kissing Mark Cuban's ass. I'm like, yo, man. It takes us 3 to 6 months to close the deals. We close about 65% of the deals. The show is the top show marketed to adults, watch kids 5 to 15, parents and kids together, and taught in schools.
How amazing is that? Can we get a big round of applause for that?
Thank you.
That's teaching entrepreneurship, financial literacy, so much of what is sometimes lacking in education.
The show has created over 100 millionaires and several billionaires. I have the top product in Shark Tank history. It's called Bombas Socks.
And it's you buy one and then
you buy
gets
one,
donated.
and they'll do $1.9 billion this year. Poppy Soda just sold for $1.8 billion, so Rohan is number 2 behind me now.
But who's keeping track?
I am keeping track. The Ring doorbell sold for $1.2 billion, and Lori did $1.1 billion with the stupid ass Scrub Daddy. That's why I hate her. Anybody here got a Scrub Daddy? I hate you too.
Is there one entrepreneur, one pitch that you regret not having invested in?
It's the Scrub Daddy.
It's that one. That would be the one.
Usually, so I got to be very honest about businesses. A lot of people say, why don't the sharks invest? And you're judging us. It's not up to us to judge you. God can only judge you. We can only judge whether this business works for us or not, and we add value. And I can't say that anything else besides the Scrub Daddy, because Lori and I are both in the kind of consumer packaged goods space, and I bidded on it. And I thought I was being slick. The bid was like $200,000, and Lori was acting up, and I was like, yeah, whatever, $275. Lori like $300. I was like, good. I cost you an extra $75,000. Meanwhile, she made an extra, $100 million, right? And so I felt like an idiot. And every time I go into a store, I see this stupid smiling at me. But most of the time, I do not care if I missed on that because somebody else coming through the door, but I don't know if I would add value. Give you an example. This guy comes on with this little clip, looks like a pin, and he falls down on the ground, and I thought it was a joke, and it was a joke actually. And then he gets up and he puts his eyeglasses in this little pin. And then he goes, well, I want to sell this. I said, well, that's crap. Most of the men here know that the Tommy Bahama shirts, especially if you play golf and a lot of those things, they have a little space to put a pen or whatever. I said, garbage. Lori's been selling eyewear on QVC for the last 25 years. She realized that women didn't have some kind of magnetic thing to put the clip in. She goes off and sells $7 million worth of this crap. But I didn't have the same vision, and I wouldn't have done that. It wouldn't have worked with me.
And it goes back to being authentic and knowing who you can truly service. Because many times on the show, and I love when you do that, you say, I'm not going to give you the money, but I can mentor you. I can give you advice.
Yeah, because, and this goes back to the money, like don't chase all these obstacles and things that are shiny. It just doesn't work. And the key thing in business that we don't talk about, whether we're in these rooms, we can talk about technology, but we don't talk about things like your time. The biggest question people ask me are work-life balance and trusting your gut. Trust your gut. Your gut is a direct line of God, what he's saying to you to do it or not. Out of the 10 deals that I've ever done, because let's say it was my ego. Oh, I'm Daymond John. Oh, I have the money. Oh, I have the access. 8 of those deals, or the person looks good, or it's a trending space. 8 of those deals I lost on because I didn't trust my gut. And the other 2 that I won, I was like, thank God I got out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't chase things because it's shiny. Because all of us, I love these deals. People come to us and go, I was going to take it and so forth and so on, but I'm going to bring it to you first. No, take it to that person, please. Take it to that person. Or if you don't do it now, you got to do it. Why are you in so much of a rush? Good people are never in a rush.
And good ideas don't need to be rushed either, because
if the idea is so much in a rush now, well, then it's not worth it. We're in this thing for the marathon because businesses are going to go like this.
So you talked about developing that gut instinct. What are some of these sort of intangible traits that you look for when someone is pitching an idea to you?
I like the person, straight up like them. period. We're pack animals. The greatest thing, and I've already told you the revolution is coming, but the greatest thing about what's happening is with technology, the human interaction is something the technology cannot replace, right? And everybody who came here today, they didn't decide to have your people call my people, show up a day late and leave a day early, and do this over Zoom. Why? Because the interaction the people in this room are going to have over this day, they're going to be more, they're going to get further than somebody over Zoom in 2 months, right? And those are the intangibles. And if you like somebody, every single time I've had a partner, they failed is because we didn't communicate with each other. I didn't like them, they didn't like me. And Chris Sacker, my buddy who did he's on Shark, and he did the Instagram deal, and he did the Uber deal, and he did all these deals. He said he was having 40 meetings a week in Silicon Valley, and he said all of those meetings related to nothing until those two, Travis from Uber and all them, went to his house, and they had one-on-one meetings. And he said that created some of the biggest tech deals that have ever happened, technically, if you look at it like that.
And nothing can replace that. And that's why you're all here in person. So another cue to make those meaningful connections. Get that FaceTime. Go grab a cup of coffee. That's why you're here. And no Zoom can replace that. Of course, then you need to follow up, have the structure and all that.
The human factor is what is the most critical. Yeah, because you get to know people, you get to feel them. And with AI coming around, is it even you talking to me?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that Agenta? What is that? Is that 11 Labs I'm talking? Did you write that?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Or if ChatGPT wrote it.
Yeah.
Let's look at technology for a little bit. We already talked about what technology cannot replace. So what are some of the investments that you look at, or some of the technologies that you look at when investing? Technology-wise, what are some of those traits?
It's so much. It's moving so fast, right? If you look how fast chat has moved in the last month. Now, I've only been really doing chat for the last about 6 weeks to 2 months, and now I think I'm an expert and I know it all, right? But if you look at what it is placing, it is changing our videos. It is changing the way. Listen, right now, I go to 11 Labs, 50,000 people can go onto my site, and each one can fill out a different form of an application to say, well, listen, I'm a woman in Detroit, and I'm 30-something years old, and I want this and that. The AI of me literally is going to get up there and say, hey, so forth, Sarah from Detroit, this is what's going on with your team out there. Oh, you like dogs, and go down to, and this is what I can do for you. And by the way, I'm Daymond John, and you would think, well, why are you looking at my AI? Because I'm so busy concentrating on doing exactly what I'm supposed to do that I'm showing you how I'm saving time. It can answer 50,000 people in 30 seconds. Right? So think about that type of stuff. So or it's longevity, everything from looking at, now I can open up my fridge and look at my entire fridge and go, make me something that's non-inflammatory, that's not going to keep me up at night. It's every single thing that I want to do. Right? The agentic AI is coming around where I can say, listen, for the next 6 months, I'm traveling to these 30 cities. Give me travel plans, dinner and or plans, and book the trips that are going to be under $400 and and it'll lay that out in seconds. So why do I need people to work on those things?
So if I were to give you $50,000 now, what technology would you invest in?
What technology would I invest in for $50,000? It would have to be going back to something that I'm really obsessed with right now. I'm not certain what it would be.
Okay.
It would be one form of an AI agentic that I'm really obsessed with. But because it's moving so quickly, I would have to be careful because every day something is canceling out the other thing. Yeah. Right? So it would have to be a fundamental form of AI or information.
What advice can you give folks here? I mean, because it's moving so fast, because it can truly replace many of the functions that we do.
I'll give you one AI that I was just talking about, Maury, we were on the way, because that's what we do. He said, what kind of bot does your stock advisor, does he have, does it do automatic trading? I said, yeah, we do automatic trading. I said, but AI is moving so quick that I can probably have one that does me, and I just want to, I'll attach it to Nancy Pelosi and all of the people's trades and just do automatic trades for myself right there. That one's for free. Just make sure you give me a log on information.
You heard it here on the Emerge stage. So what advice would you give folks here who are just starting a business or wanting to grow their business or idea?
Well, first of all, put as much time as you can on while you work your day job, while it's still here, put as much time as you can on the side doing homework and investing in the business, because a lot of people think that money is what you need for business. You do not need money for business. You need to put in the time and the actions to be able to do that, because and don't take money too soon. The sooner you take in money, that means that you're going to pay too much for it, or you're going to give away too much of your business,
good
right?
Advice, yeah.
Daymond, give me $200,000 for 30% of my business. Okay, here you go. The business hopefully gets to 10 million. Now you go and try to raise more money. I have 30% of it,
yep.
Right? So first of all, put in that time, get those things out of the way. Of course, do your homework, do your paperwork, lock up all those trademarks, URLs, patents, and all the legal aspects, because I've seen so many businesses, even 4 of my businesses on Shark Tank came on there, they got millions of dollars worth of advertising, but they didn't own the intellectual properties. They were like, well, that's my daughter's name. I can put it a URL, or I can put a trademark under my daughter's name. I can name the clothing brand under my daughter's name. Is that all right? Well, if you can, then my next son's going to be named Apple, and my daughter's going to be named Mercedes, and somebody's going to be BMW. You can't do that. So it's all about understanding how to put those structures together.
And to be buttoned up, yeah.
And then what you do is we call proof of concept. Try to sell to 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, 20 people. Selling to more people is not going to be make it any different. Money often highlights your weaknesses. If you have a sucky advertising campaign and low conversion, well, buying billboards and or buying more type of advertising, it's not going to create a better conversion. You're just going to highlight your weaknesses. A lot of people think they need money to make money, but you do not, because 60 to 70% of athletes and lotto winners are bankrupt 3 years after leaving the league or winning the lotto.
Exactly. And you started FUBU with $40, so your own story is an example of that.
And 70% of Forbes' top wealthiest 1,000 people are self-made men and women, like the people in this room. And if you needed money to make money, well, then how come the Fords and the Carnegies and the Roosevelts and the Mellons, how come they don't own the Teslas and the Twitters and the Instagrams and all those? Now, their foundations do great, but how come their children don't own it? Why? Because they have money, but they don't know how to use it, because they've been giving it to them in various different ways. So the first generation makes it, the second enjoys it, and the third destroys it.
That's why the Sharks are so amazing, because you guys are all self-made.
We're all self-made,
Yep.
even
Yep.
Kevin, when he was hatched, self-made.
So you talk a lot about, and you just explained it, just thinking entrepreneurially. Even if you are working within an organization.
Of course.
How can everyday folks train themselves to do that?
What problem are you solving, right? And so if you're in an organization, I see a lot of people in an organization, well, I can't get anywhere in the organization because I'm talking to my manager, my supervisor. Your manager and supervisor, they have kids at home, they have ideas themselves, they have a budget they have to hit, and they have to report to people. They want to go on vacation too. What do you do to think like them? Well, if you have 5 people in a department, well, you know who I'm going to go to? The person who went and baked that idea when they weren't at work. Mm-hmm. And they came to me and said, hey, boss, what's in your way, right? I sound like a Capital One commercial. What's in your wallet, right? And they go, listen, I've come up with these couple of ideas, and here's what, oh, I don't like it. Okay, what would you like me to change? I'll go back. They don't take it personal. Oh, they don't want to listen to me around here. And they come back and they make it worth value to these people. Every one of us has ideas. And so when you think entrepreneurial like that about what's keeping my boss up at night, right? Then you have way more options, because the boss doesn't want to work either. You know, as bosses and entrepreneurs, let me tell you something how the entrepreneur life goes. You got to show up before everybody and leave after everybody. You can't tell anybody your problems because you're supposed to walk on water, but you got to listen to everybody else's problems. Mm-hmm. You got financial stress at home and stress with your family and various other things, but you better show up with a smile, right? We all are the same exact people. You don't get paid because you're so busy paying for all the people that busted their ass for you, and then the other money you have, you're reinvesting it so that you don't step on landmines, and you're being able to grow at the same time. It's very hard being an entrepreneur and a boss. People think it's easy. It's not.
Yeah, and it's a daily grind, and you're probably having to wear a lot of hats as well, because you have to fulfill a lot of roles.
The buck stops at you, hands down. There is nobody else to report to after that. But the reward is so great, right? The reward is great. Either you change the world, you've been able to see your beautiful kids grow up and become an extension of your family, and hopefully you've created a legacy.
And these two ideas that you explained to us, which is solving a problem and giving people joy, and letting that drive you.
Joy. True entrepreneurs, they wake up every day and they're not big visionaries. They are, I gotta bust my ass today to be better of value to my customer than I was yesterday. And then again and again, because if it was all predicted, and you can definitely predict where you're gonna go, well, where's Kodak or Blockbuster or BlackBerry or Forever 21 or Party City? Where are they? They have all the money in the world. It's not about that. It's about waking up every day and busting your ass, say, how can I be better for this person today? I saw Zuckerberg interviewed by Barack Obama, and Zuckerberg, who's doing okay these days, he said he still hears no. He said he heard no when they said, oh, just the Ivy League kids on this platform? Yes. Okay, no problem. You're going to open it up to regular colleges? Absolutely, it's going to go away, right? Then they said, you're going to open up to high school kids? Nobody's going to go on to Facebook after that. Then they said, wait a minute, you're going to open it up to grandmothers? Are you telling me that a kid is going to be on the same platform as Nana? Out of here, forget it. Oh, wait a minute, you're going to move it from computers to phones? Are you telling me I'm going to ride a bike on Facebook? Or
and then
no
Instagram,
way, never going to work.
Yeah.
Where is he today? He said, he kept saying, I thought somebody else was going to build this. They didn't.
I wanted to do it, and I want it to be better. And there's a word that we haven't mentioned yet, which is so important, and it's the word risk. There are these risk-on moments. Tell me about a moment in your life where you have gone against the wisdom, against these people telling you nobody's going to want this or that, and it paid off.
Every time. You see, if everybody understands your vision, well, you have the lowest common denominator. There would be no reason for me. Every time you hear no, it's because they don't get it. And if they got it, there would be no reason for you. Think about that, right? But the way that you manage risk is you take affordable steps. You see, being an entrepreneur, the idea of entrepreneurs, these hard people that go really hard and do all that, that's all the people on Instagram that you see are calling me trying to borrow money. They're lying. A real entrepreneur, you know what they do? They act, they learn, and then they repeat. A real entrepreneur is extremely vulnerable. A real entrepreneur is not a hardcore person. They walk into the room and they say, guess what? I know everything about this, but I don't know about what you do in that. Is there any way that I can be of value to you and maybe you help me out with something that I'm doing? You see, people want to gather around you when you do that. When you walk in the room like, I got it all set, I'm straight. Everybody thinks you're good.
What a great lesson that is to show up with vulnerability and how that can actually make you a better leader and an entrepreneur.
One of my biggest mistakes in life was around 2002. I went to this big house in Colorado. I mean, this thing looked like this building over here. And I go in there and I have my bodyguard with me because I was still dealing with hip hop world, and I had nice jewelry on. I spent about $200,000 on this real nice piece, and I was feeling good. Warren Buffett's over there, Bill Gates, all these people in there. None of them have on any Louis. They're Louis Vuitton, no Chanel. I'm like, oh, these people are broke. They didn't have any Hennessy in there. Nothing, no Hennessy at all. I was like, this place is trash. What's wrong with these people? I stood in the corner. I didn't talk to any of them. They didn't talk to me either. Imagine if I would have met Warren Buffett and had a conversation with him and Bill Gates in 2002. Mark Cuban would be scraping the gum off of my shoes right now. But it was my most ignorant time that I've ever been in a room like that. Now I walk in a room and I don't give a shit who you are. I can learn from every single person in this room.
Big round of applause for that.
Absolutely.
I think that for this room, that is extremely valuable, Daymond, because it's this idea that you belong in every room you enter. That is why you're there. And if you are self-sabotaging yourself by limiting yourself, once you've made it into that room, you're not going to get anywhere.
And you can only do that when you're of service, though, because trust me, people smell right through it. You know, because half the time I'm places, and you know, my wife is standing over there, and they'll walk right past my wife to talk to me, and I'm talking about rudely. She'll be like, okay, no problem. And then later on, a month from now, hey man, why you ain't calling me back? I don't know, talk to my wife. The wives, the mothers, the husbands, the kids, those are the biggest influences to get to people. Somebody sit there, and I've had plenty of people, oh, that person just works for that person's foundation. They're trying to make money. That person is running that person's passion.
Yeah.
And that person is the one that is that person's gatekeeper. And if you're just doing it and you're not genuine, they're going to smell right through you. Just be of service. Don't watch Shark Tank and see that a deal is closed within that 8 minutes. That's not how deals work. Deals work when you look at somebody and you talk to somebody, you shake their hand, you talk to them over the course of a period of time. And you say stuff like, hey, if I can be of service, I'll be of service. Don't worry about it. 2-3 years down the road, hey, you know what? Every time I saw that person, they weren't like, here, do me a favor. Here. They were like, hey, how can I be of service? And you know, after a while, somebody goes, what can I do for you? It's really simple. We all don't want to feel like that somebody's using us, so then don't do that to others. But it has to come from a place of real authenticity.
And those people, the person running the foundation, your wife, your kids, they've earned your trust. So you're going to trust them when they say, this person is a good person, their intentions are good, you should hear them out. Yeah.
And while we're on another point, you know, we're all watching you on social media. People don't understand how much we're watching you. I always tell people here, you got to put yourself in 2 to 5 words. Apple think different, Nike just do it, FUBU for us, buy us, White Castle, what you crave, whatever the case is. Give you an example. This woman saw me, and I think I was in Iowa or something. She saw me in the elevator. She said, oh my God, I didn't think I was going to run into you. Here's what I want to do. I want to buy you $20,000 worth of my time. Now, I don't know if that's 2 minutes of her time or 20 minutes or 2 years. I'm going to give you something. You're a pretty busy guy. Give me a number to your team member. I'm going to send something over to them, and I'm going to evaluate something for you. And you know what? Whether you like it or not, you can call me, but if not, I'm going to give you this that you can take someplace else and, you know, evaluate this part of your business. I was like, that was the best pitch ever. Absolutely. She said, here's my social media. Oof. I go look on her social media. Wow, this lady's great. It's cool. Who's that picture? That's her. Who's that guy with her in all the pictures wearing a Confederate flag t-shirt?
Oh my God.
Who's this guy? Oh, that's her husband. I don't know if he's wearing it for what reason or just a design, but you know what? She'll never know why I never called her. That's it. It's pretty simple.
Also, learning lesson is just to check your digital footprint, because everybody can access it at any point. So what is it that you're really communicating with pictures, with posts?
And if you're communicating always that you're a problem solver, you're about charitable organizations, then I want you in my office. I want you to be next to people to help me. A lot of people say, well, why were you looking at that? That's my private account. Well, why did you post it, asshole? What are you talking about?
So would you appease me in doing a little lightning round before he has a big announcement for you all, but...
Oh, yeah, we're going to give this some away, but yeah, let's do a lightning round.
Quick questions and answers. What is your go-to spot when you're in Miami? Can be food, business, beach?
It's always going to be the beach, but I like ZZ's, but it's always going to be the beach.
If FUBU...
I live in Miami, that's why.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, you like our city. That's great.
I live in Sunny House, yeah.
That's amazing. You know where to find them, folks.
That's right. No, I love it, because up there, it's a bunch of Russians. So I walk down the beach, and they know who I am, and they're like, and they don't say nothing. They just keep walking.
If FUBU were to launch today, which Miami celebrity would be a brand ambassador?
Come on, Armando Pitbull, Mr. AKA Worldwide. Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
And he's always on the Emerge stage. We're going to see him in a little bit. What's the wildest pitch you've ever heard on Shark Tank?
The wildest pitch, I don't know, but this other guy pitched me the other day out of a trade show. He said, "Hey man, I'm part of the Rick James band." Rick James band. I don't want to tell him that he's dead. Then he said, "Hey, why don't you? I want to represent. I want to be the spokesperson for your shoe company. Oh, you're going to be on stage with the shoes are covered." That was the worst pitch I've ever heard.
Okay.
But a guy on Shark Tank said something like he wanted to put he wanted a big fuselage in the ocean where he put sand in there, spun around, and he was going to make gold because the sand was going to somehow this kind of technology.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Yeah. So I put a bunch of sand in my blender and I looked for a pinky ring, but it never came out.
Yep. So if I were to be casting Shark Tank right now, pitch yourself in 10 seconds as a shark to me.
In 10 seconds as a shark? How am I going to do that in 10 seconds? I'm Daymond John. I created a brand globally recognized called FUBU, for us, by us. I know how I'm a master at licensing and retail. I'm extremely handsome and very smart, and I don't like Barbara, Kevin, Robert, or Cuban, so I'm going to give them really a lot of shit on
He nailed it. I would cast you right now. Which podcast show are you binging right now?
Podcast?
Podcast or show are you binging?
I love Lewis Howes, podcast. TV, I don't watch TV. I don't watch anything streaming. I don't have time. I watch only financial.
And Shark Tank, of course.
I don't watch Shark Tank at all. The last thing I want to do is see my big ass head on I don't want to see myself.
If you're having a bad day, how do you pump yourself up?
I go back to finding out what is creating this day that's bad. And whatever is turning me off, trying to find a way to turn me back on. And I probably think about my health and my faith and my beautiful family and the fact that we are all healthy at the moment, and that God has not given me a hurdle that I will have to face sooner or later.
I want you to pump me up when I'm having a bad day. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Final question before your big announcement. One word.
Get your phones out. I'm going to give you a great offer. Go ahead.
One word to describe Emerge Americas.
One word.
To describe the crowd here, the energy of this conference.
Sharks.
Sharks. All right, everybody.
Constantly investing in themselves and trying to change the world and change lives at the same time. I don't know how many, we're moving so fast, I cannot tell you how many potential billionaires are going to be in this room right now that will change the way that we think about life. Even if it's 2 or 3, it's going to be a lot. But we're not even talking about the ones who fall short and just become filthy rich.
So he believes in us so much. Daymond is here with a special announcement for everybody in this room. So can everybody...
Hey, get your phones out.
Yeah, take your phones out.
And so first of all, the one is, listen, I got to tell you, one of the biggest investments you will ever find out is customer feedback. That is somebody who could tell anybody in the world what they don't like about you, but they tell you directly, and when you solve it, it creates a better solution. So me, I want you to judge me, and then you go judge the shark. There's a card over here somewhere. But more importantly, my shark points are up there where you can, these are for you. We're going to send you a digital form of all the things that I do in my life to set my goals and things of that nature. And number 2, there's, sitting like this very beautiful woman in red. We have something from my people at Red Pocket. I have for digital and cell phone services right there.
So go ahead and scan this QR code, folks.
So let me tell you something about Red Pocket. Here's what I've learned, and this is why, the government has to allow several carriers to carry, or they have to, you'll have a monopoly on T-Mobile and various other things. So what I found out is when my staff and everybody else, we save about 60% or 50% of our stuff. It's carried by the same people though. It's still on the T-Mobile lines, on the AT&T lines, and various other things like that. So if you look at business is always about shaving 5%, 10% off of your cost. And that's what I love. I've done a deal with Red Pocket, and I'm just offering it to every single person. You take that, and it'll explain all your opportunities right there. And it's still carried on the same exact networks.
And you gave us something that's invaluable to Daymond, which is your time. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
What a terrific conversation, ladies and gentlemen. The People's Shark, Daymond John. Let's give it up.